Just give you a little bit about myself. My background is in golf. Went to Clemson, got a turf degree. Was on the ground, walked on football my first 2 years, and got on the grounds crew. Just kind of, I grew up on a tobacco farm down here in Horry County, out at Lawrence, South Carolina, and had always been around farming. So you know, I wanted to do something with farming, but I didn't want to crop tobacco for the rest of my life. I learned that when I was about 9, and I hated it until I was about 17. Got grounds crew. Was on it for the last 2 years. When I graduated, I got a job with Jack Nicklaus Design, building golf courses, and did that for about 4 years. They wanted me to go to Ireland, and the girl I was dating at the time, I'm not married to now, kind of talked me out of going, and got to be a superintendent. About 8 years ago, I was talking to my mentors, and he said, "You need to get in sports turf business." He said, "There's nobody doing it." And I said, "Man, just, you know, I don't know." And he said, "You just need to get into it." So, long story short, here we are 6 years later. I've got a staff of 18. We work North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. We've got over 122 customers. We do over 80 infield skins a year. We construct about 60 acres of new fields a year. We manage about 250 acres of athletic turf. And we do maintenance around Columbia, so we mow as well around the Columbia area where we're located. We mow about 80 acres a week. It's been a good business. It's done really good. Real blessed. Got some great customers. Baseball community is probably one of my biggest customers, and that's, you know, we're doing a dinner tonight for the coaches. Hope everybody can come. If you haven't signed up and you want to come, let us know. We've got some dinner spots still available. We've got Orlando Hudson coming in to speak. I don't know if a lot of you know about Orlando. He's a 2-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove winner. He now works for the Diamondbacks and in their organization, their minor league system. So he's going to come in tonight, do some talking, and then we're going to give away a bunch of free stuff. So as long as you got a school representative there, your name's in the pot tonight. We're going to give away from free infield work, the mound clay, the infield conditioner. We're going to give away, I got Richardson hats to donate a dozen hats embroidered with the Winning Schools logo on it. We're going to give away some mounts, some plates, some bases. So pretty much what you guys need from day to day for the upcoming season. So, and that's just us giving back, because my business would be a lot less without you guys. So let's get into what we're going to talk about today. A few things we run into from time to time. Straight lines. As you can see here, a little bit of a home field advantage if you're used to playing on it. But this was actually a real field. We rolled up on it. They had done a scrimmage, and this is what it was. Never seen it before in my life. We pulled a string on it, and it was straight, so I don't know if the guy had a real hard night before or what had went on, but he was a little off. Can't really see it good, but we get a lot of calls like this. You get a lot of coaches about 2 weeks before it starts, and they panic. We got to get the field ready. So they call, "Mark, can you come? Can you come? I got to get the field ready." And we see some crazy, crazy things. This is our bread and butter of baseball. This is what we come to fix. We see this a lot, poor drainage. And then we see this. Got a call, and the guy says, "Well, I nail drug it for you to open it up," and I guess that was open it up. This was back in our old days. The good thing about being on the grounds crew at Clemson was the team did have to pull the tarp. We didn't have to do it. But that right there is your best friends. I reckon, you know, I know a lot of high schools can't afford these. We do run in from time to time with the companies we deal with. I actually sold one last year. The company that makes ours was making one for the Nationals, and they messed it up. Well, they messed it up by they put the wrong graphics on it. So basically, they wanted to dump it to get rid of it. So I sold it to a high school for cost. And we run into that a lot, but I tell people all the time, if you can get the budget to get an infield tarp, there's a reason why when we go into talking this, you understand what I'm talking about. You know, just more tarp. Let's stop right here for a minute. If you notice on this field, this is the White Sox Stadium. Major League Stadiums is the best fields. I mean, it's built the best. I mean, it's the best money. It costs a lot. I mean, these things are built to spec. If you notice one thing about this field, this rain has been going on for about 5 minutes. What's the first thing you see around first? It's puddling. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The truths and the myths of laser leveling, because I run into that a lot. You know, if I go laser level your field, there's a lot of people in their mind think, well, my field's never going to hold water. That's a false. That is very, very false. And then the other thing we run into is My field, I get coaches say, well, you can't laser level my field. I've been told you can't laser level my field. And there's a truth to that, and there's a myth to that. And that's kind of what we're going to get into just for you guys down the road, dealing with contractors, dealing with other people of why you can and you can't, so you know a little bit more about it. This is how we start on the field. This is how we do it. We go in and we chart the field. Basically, you're going to have a tripod where our laser sets up, kind of like that camera is on that podium out there, and we mark it up behind the mound. That's the flattest part. Usually that's the peak of a field. If you build a field the proper way, home plate is the highest mark on the field. Everything flows out. You want everything to flow out to the outfield and get out the back. And it's usually a 1% fault. 1% fault is not a lot. I want y'all to know that. People think, oh, it's a lot, it's steep. No, 1% is very flat. But it's a fault. It will make water go where you want it to go. But we track, we mark our points. So what you do is all these X's you see on the front line and around the back is we go through and we mark these spots with laser and we get our elevations. That's what you call lasering. We're finding out where the fall is on the field. 75% of high school baseball fields in this state were built not to spec, if that makes sense. They were built with a box blade or a landscaper. They weren't built with a laser system. The crown may be in the 5-6 hole in the outfield. The crown may be over in the 3-4. That out, I've seen outfields go all kind of ways. I've seen fields. We did a field the other day at a college. I'm not going to say the college's name. The whole field was sloped back to home plate. So when they would pull the tarp off from rain and they would pull it to the outfield, when they dumped the water off of it, guess where the water went? Back to the infield. We just totally what we did for nothing. There's nothing we can do for that unless we just take the whole field and go from here to bring it back down to here. So that's what we're finding with points, because what I do after that is then we talk to coaches, then we talk to the districts, then we talk to places, because this is going to affect what we're going to do. This is what I was talking about with the laser. This is the laser. This is a laser system. Went to high school 3 years ago in this county that we're in right now. We're working on the field. Coach comes out. He's not here. I don't think it's your next name. Coach comes out. Me and him standing by the fence, guys at work. He said, "What's that?" I said, "What's what?" He said, "What's that thing on that tripod?" I said, "That's a laser system." I said, "I ain't never seen one of those." I said, "I thought your field's been lasered the last couple of years." He said, "That?" I said, "They didn't do that." He said, "No, they just come over with a box blade and went around in a circle." I said, "Well, that's not laser." I said, "That's called float." That's float. We can, and we give this, I have schools that can't afford for us to laser a field. And I'll say, listen, we'll go, we'll spin them out, we'll float them, we'll get them as close as we can get them by eye, but I can't guarantee you you're not going to have a puddle. I can't guarantee you after rain in 24 hours there's not going to be any standing water on your field. But I can get it as close as we can for that amount of money. And we do that a lot. And I mean, it's everybody's got different budgets, and that's understandable. But when you hear somebody, there is not a field in this state that you can't set that up on. There's not a field in this state that you can't go around and mark points on. Now, this is the biggest problem we got in drainage. I don't know if anybody's familiar with what we're doing right there, but it's lip removal. Lip removal affects drainage more than anything, as well as playability. I'm very big. I went out to a lot of national shows. I've talked to a lot of, I was in real tight. I don't know if anybody was in there last year. Chris Ball is a great friend of mine. He was in the Braves organization, field manager. He was field manager a year 2 or 3 times. But I'm big on ball manipulation. And what I mean by that is when that ball transitions from the grass to the clay, it should not change what it's doing. It should not go from, that fielder should be able to trust that ball. Lips are the biggest thing you see in high school baseball that change ball manipulation. Clay textures, grass, stuff like that does affect it. But at the end of the day, it's lips. Most fields about every 3 years need some lip work. It's not all, I hear people say, well, the coaches did it because they drug it wrong or they did that. Yes, that makes it bad, that makes it worse. But it's just natural. It's from rain, it's from weather, it is from dragging wrong at times. But there's a lot of things. Now, there's things you can do to make that go, to make that period of 3 years maybe stretch out to a 4th year? Absolutely, but I'm going to tell you right now, after a period of time, you're going to have to do it. Another thing is when you got a lot of games. I've got some customers in here right now, some guys that I do work for. They've got fields pushing 200 games a year. That's a lot of traffic on baseball fields, guys. I mean, and you would be surprised how many fields in this state get that from weekend ball. And you got to do lip work. there's a picture here, I think, from Presbyterian. We did Presbyterian's baseball field this year for the first time. D1 college, great program, great coaching staff. We took 52 tons of clay off the field, off of it. We hauled clay for 2 days. I took a bulldozer in there and pushed the clay off the top of it. It was cramped. And that's where a lot of lip comes from, because what I'm saying by that is a lot of people's answers to infield work is just add clay. Every year, let's put a load on it. Let's put a load on it. Let's put a load on it. We need to put clay this year. We need a load. Well, before you know it, you got a crown, or let's camelback it, I call it, and then we don't ever have to worry about water. Well, no, you don't. It'll never hold water, ever. It'll rain and it'll run off and you got to play. But that's not what a baseball field is supposed to play like. A baseball field is supposed to play with 1% slope. It's supposed to be flat, and that's where we are. The lip work's very simple. Most fields we go to, the arcs are off anyway. 95 is spec. I don't know if y'all have ever measured your outfield, your back lips on your infield, but it's 95 off the front middle of the rubber. You take a measuring tape, you go to front middle of the rubber, you pull back, straight back through second, you get to the back, you find 95, and then basically you just walk in an arc, foul line to foul line, and that's where your arc is. There's so many fields that it's 90, or it's 88. I've seen one side of the infield be 88 and the other side of the field be 98. You know, and you don't really see it thinking about it when you're there playing, but it is. I've had coaches ask me to cut it back to 100. And you say, why? Well, if they're going to play small ball, what does most shortstops do when they go up on the field? Where do they want to go stand at? Grass clay line. They don't know this 100 feet, but if the team they're playing small ball and it's their home field, they do. Think about it. You know, I have football coaches sometimes. Had a football coach this year, because you know we do fields like that as well. Calls me, got a playoff game. The team they playing from the spread offense. They run a wing T. He said, Mark, I want you to run irrigation every night this week. I said, why? He said, because we're going to slow them down. So we run it every night, and it slowed them down. They ruined the field. You know, lips is very inexpensive. I mean, an average lip job on a baseball field is about $2,500. And if that's, we cut it out, grade it down, and put the grass on it. Any contractor is about going to be that way. There is a process now called phrase mowing. We did it in Diddy's field probably about 3 years ago. We're going to have to do it again, where it shaves the grass out, gets the material off, but it leaves the roots in the ground. And then the grass just grows back. You got to do it in the summertime, give it time to heal, because it's ugly, but it works. And it's a more inexpensive way, besides planting sod and having to water the sod and all that stuff to keep it alive. So there's more techniques out on the market right now that, you know, to make that process work. That's Presbyterian's field. That was before we started hauling dirt. You look to the left, that's grade. You can see how high that is. 52 tons of clay off. They'll never have to buy clay for the next 5 years. They've got enough infield clay now. I think they donated it to Lawrence Park and Rec. You know, I see that a lot. You see it, especially in the rec system. You know, just add clay. You don't see it a lot in high schools. But this was actually Lawrence High School. This was a front lip removal. This is kind of what you do. Basically, most time it's about 2 sod cutters length. That lip's usually small. It's not real wide. It's just that little into it, but it's manipulating that ball. You go in, you cut it out, you roll sod down. The hardest part about this job, and this is where you guys come in, once we leave the grasses down, it looks good. The problem is you got to keep that stuff watered. You got to, you know, and that's, you know, baseball coaches, to me, have the toughest job in all high school sports. Because it ain't the coaching you got to do. It ain't the kids you got to worry about taking care of. It's all the stuff you got to do just to be able to play a game. You know, all the field dragging, all the, you know, the fields y'all do are the hardest stuff to keep. You know, if all you had to worry about was grass, your life would be real easy. But that clay is a monster. It's hard to take care of, and that clay determines most time whether you're gonna have a game or not if it rains. You know, it ain't the grass that determines the rain out; it's the clay. Basic process when you go through laser level. Once we set those points, then you start adding your clay. This was an aimer. This was 3 or 4 years ago. As you can see, Chad likes to watch. I don't think Chad's in here. When we come in, once we find our low spots, we come in, we shake the clay, and then what this process is called is reverse tilling. What we're doing is we're incorporating the new clay with the existing clay, and we're bringing the good stuff back to the top. Most clay you see here, if you'll notice on your fields, most infield clay in South Carolina is a real sandy clay mix. And then once it sets all off season when you're not dragging it, you notice it kind of gets that white sheen look to it. What that is the rain and the weather has brought the sand particles up to the top. The clay has kind of settled. I call it the oil water effect. It starts to separate. What reverse tilling does is it brings all that, incorporates it back together, and it gives you that nice red flush look. As you can see, this is November. This field hadn't been played on since May at the time this picture was took. And you can see the sand content. That's where we had tilled. See all that sand's come to the top. As soon as we reverse till it, it goes back. Because what we're doing is about that top 3-inch layer, you're bringing it back basically like a cement mixer. You're just getting it all back together and getting it mixed back. Now, this is the laser system. Now, this is what cannot be done on every field when people say that. What's the number one rule with a laser beam? Everybody had the little, back in the day when you shine the light and you aggravate people. Would that beam, have anybody ever seen one of those beams bend? Ever. Never. Ever. Lasers don't bend. Lasers go straight. When you hear somebody say, my field can't be lasered, what that technique means is, not every field can be lasered by that computer. What this system does is, that tripod is still sitting in the same spot. As you can see in that picture, see that black pole coming up at the top of it? There's a big sensor on the back of it. It's picking the beam up from the tripod. Inside that cab where that guy's at right there, there's a computer in there. And that computer is running that blade. I call it grading for dummies. My guys don't like it because they think I call them dummies. But all he's doing is driving. That's it. He's not doing any controls. He's not running the blade. That computer is telling that blade when to go up, when to go down, when to go up, when to go down. That cannot be done on every high school field. Because again, you're at the mercy of the way that field was built. If that outfield's doing this, and you're trying to blend that clay, semi-flat, but we're gonna have to manually do it. That's where, yes, can every field be laser leveled? Yes, by points, by lasers, by going out and finding points. Can every field be computerly graded? No. You'll dig, you'll have holes, it's a big process. We try to do it on every field. One field we run into, has anybody ever played at Winthrop Stadium? We could not run it at Winthrop Stadium, believe it or not. The 5-6, there was something going on the way they had graded it. I don't know over the years if it had settled, but it'd go through there, and that thing, it'd drop that blade, and it was trying to dig Lake Murray. And it was just one of those fields. And we had to, in that area, we were able to do the other side, but that area we just had to back out and kind of back off of it. Again, we still shot our points, we still found our low spots, we still got our order to go where we wanted to go. That's what you got to remember. This is at North Myrtle Beach, same thing. You can see this is the whole process going right here. Tripod set up, lasers running. Most of the time it's just in a swirly fashion. Most fields can be done in a day. Most fields they get in, you got good weather. Obviously this year, this is probably the worst year we've ever had to do infields with the rain. But most of the time on good weather and you've got about a 3 to 4 hour window to get your laser done. You till it up in the morning, it needs to set through lunch, it needs to get dry. About 1 o'clock, they'll put the blade on it. By 3:30 or 4 o'clock, they're done. This is the most important thing you can do to your infield. Tim Christie will vouch for me on this. I am a huge fan of rolling infields. You cannot roll your infield enough. Roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, and keep rolling. You can bring the softness back to it with a nail drag, but you cannot get it firm enough. Because what this does is, again, most infields in this state are sand clay. Sand clay moves. This stops your movement. Or you're going to stop it completely, but you can make life a lot better. College of Charleston, we did their field this year. They didn't have a real big rolling program. One thing we did was, and not every town's going to be like this where your high schools are, they went up to a local rental, Sunbelt or whatever, and did a deal with a sponsorship. So basically to put a sign up on the outfield fence, they're going to give him a roller for 3 months this year. So he's going to roll that field 2 to 3 times a week with a vibratory roller for a big sponsorship sign. Everybody can't do that, but the ones that can, if you got a DEDS, got a concrete, got a paving company, you can get your hands on one, roll it. If you can't do nothing but go to Lowe's and buy one of those tag-along drum rollers, you pull behind a golf cart, you fill it full of water, you're still not doing wrong. You're attempting to try to solve that problem. So you can't roll them enough. Drags. You know, the drags, yeah, the drag situations, I hear a lot of people ask me all the time, how many times should I nail drag? How many times should I nail drag? I'm a firm believer in the middle of the season when you're rolling, hit it at least 2 or 3 times a week. You know, if you get, let's say we get rain today, we don't get a lot, but it's a little soft when you get out in the afternoon. If you can get free the next morning, if you got sunlight, go out, nail drag it that morning, let it breathe. It is an animal, it needs to breathe. Let it breathe a little bit, and by the time you come out for practice, you hit it with a steel drag and you're ready. You're not fighting. But what it does is it lets that moisture, because moisture will get trapped down in it. Not so much what you see on top, it's what's down in that inch. If you open it up and let it breathe, it'll come on out and it makes life a lot better. Drag patterns. On baseball, these are your two patterns. You know, don't get hung up on dragging fields the same way over and over and over. Most of the time, head coaches, you've got an assistant coach that does it, or you got a player that does it, or you got a dad that does it. The biggest thing I see is people dragging too fast. You're not drifting. I see that a lot. You know, they go around second and the drag's behind it, it's doing this. Slow the better. Slow the better. Andy Hallett's not in here. I preached to him when we built that new stadium out here. You know, slow, Andy. Slow. Go slow. Go slow. These drags, especially, who's got John Deere Sand Pros, is basically what I call them. How many of you in here's got those? Who's got the pre-made steel drag attachment that goes to the back of it? You know what I'm talking about? The black one. It's got kind of a metal grate on it. It's welded to it. Not a big fan of those. Especially if you go fast, because what it's going to start doing, it's going to start washboarding. Everybody knows what a washboard looks like? Same thing with mowing. If you've got a real mower and you cut in your field, if you start going too fast, you ever seen your grass? It'll start looking like it's got little speed bumps in it. Same thing with your clay. Your clay will start washboarding. It's hard to get that out of it when you start, because what will happen is if you got washboards in it, you get a big rain, it throws the grate off, that water starts setting in those trenches, and the next thing you know, you got a wet spot, you got a soft spot, and you fight the moisture down there. So, change your patterns up. This is what I'm talking about, opening it up. Just let it breathe. Standard nail drag. I build nail drags. Anybody on here, anybody can build it. If anybody just see me afterwards, I've got a way I build them. I'll tell you how to build it. You can go to Lowe's, you can build one for $175. You need a DeWalt drill, a hammer, and about an hour, and a skill saw. But that's it. And you can build a nail drag that'll last you probably, you know, a good, if you don't have a lot of games, a good 4 to 5 seasons. The way I build mine is you've got a leveler. So I build the top side that the nails aren't on, they're flat. So when you nail drag it, if you've got some clay, you turn it over once you get it soft and then drag it with those boards down, it'll move that clay around and that leveler will find those low spots and put that dirt back in there to get you back on the grade. Because the most important thing is when we laser level, I tell coaches all the time, that's when the work starts for y'all. Because you got to stay on top of it right then. You know, you can't let it, you know, you can't get your field laser level. Say, all right, I'll go back in about 5 weeks. You know, because I have a lot of coaches because the amount of infields we do now, we start doing infields in October. So those guys at the front of them, when we start, you know, we're still doing them now. They got to start keeping up with them now in October, and they got to ride this all the way to start the season. You got to get there a couple times a week, keep it drugged, because if you get a lot of rain, especially like we've had this year, it's going to move. Y'all all seen it. So let it breathe, let it air out. This is the circle drag pattern. This is a wide. No, basically this is just going in the in the direction of the infield. This is the swirl pattern. Change it up. Do one day, one the next. As long as you go back and forth. Hey, you can get so technical as have somebody chart it. Put somebody in charge of it and let that be their job. Like, you're my drag guy and you have a backup guy. Don't let a bunch of people do it. Find somebody that takes interest in it, and that's what they want to do, and let them have it. Same thing with mounds and places. I had a triplet had me go out to Newberry College today because he was mad as fire at his catchers because they won't take care of the home plate area at Newberry. So he had me go out and light into them about how to take care of the plate. Guys, most teams got how many players? 15, 20 guys? You got a whole grounds crew. Unless they go to a D1 college, most of them's going to have to do some kind of field work when they get there. Let them learn. Denny's guys, I think it was last year, didn't it? Last year, we did a whole deal with Denny's guys. Went out and showed the pitchers how to prep the mount. Showed the catchers how to take care of the plate, repack mount clay. Part of it. Learn to do it. Respect what you got. Because I tell them all the time, one thing I told Newberry's guys the other day, if you weren't packing your batter's boxes right, you're not taking care of it. You get a short hot ball and it hits one of those holes and it kicks right and it lets a run score. Don't look in the dugout because Triplett's going to be mad because, one, you didn't fix what you were supposed to, and you know, if it had been done right, you probably would have saved the run. Is it going to happen every time? No, but that's what you got to burn in these guys' heads, to make them appreciate it. Next thing I was going to bring up is the whole, I get a lot of calls with Turface. You know, everybody says, Turface is like Kleenex. Everybody realizes Turface is a brand. What Turface is calcite clay. But Turface is a brand. Turface is a company that makes calcite clay. On the left is rapid dry, quick dry, you know, most things that y'all have heard of. I'm not a fan of this. If you're going to fight moisture in your field, use calcite clay. Quick dry, rapid dry is like Quickcrete. If you put this on your field, when you're done, you need to get it off. Because what's going to happen when this stuff dries out, it turns concrete. It's like concrete, and it will screw a infield clay up. You see these rec departments, I'm sure all y'all playing some summer ball teams, and they'll go out there trying to get a game in because they're trying to get a tournament. They'll dump 15, 20 bags of stuff. Well, then you go out there 3 weeks later in the middle of July, and you're watching balls go one hop, and they're going 10 feet in the air, and they're jumping over kids' heads. That's why, because this stuff's got into the clay content, and it's turned hard as a rock, and it's like concrete. Use your calcite clay. All right, fine. These are your brands. These are your standard brands that make calcite clay. SAF, they make 3 brands, 516, 816, and a red. The red Playmaker Red is just a dyed version of 816. Average price for their stuff is going to run between $8.50 and $12.50 a bag. Here's Turface. Everybody in here pretty much has seen that green bag before. This is kind of, you know, standard what everybody uses. Same thing with Turface. Most of the time MVP is going to run some companies are between $8 and $10 a bag. They've got a product line where this other one, they can do it in about 4 or 5 different colors. I'm not a fan of colored infield conditioner. You know why? Because once you drag it about 4 or 5 times, guess what? It's all red. I mean, it's in red clay, it's going to turn red. So save your money, just put the regular color on there and blend it in. You've also got Diamond Pro. Diamond Pro is a little bit higher end, they're a little bit higher. They're all about the same, but for some reason they're priced right. They're big in the Midwest. Pro's Choice, another company. You don't see them a lot around here. I see some guys use it, but you don't see them a lot. But again, same thing. It's just a calcite clay product. Duredge. Duredge is a new company that's come on the scene really hard the last 3 years. Denny's is really the first field around here that's got their infield mix, but now they've come out with a calcite clay product as well. This is big in the pro stuff right now. It's a high maintenance clay. I mean, I'm really anxious to see how Denny's field does this summer. I think we both are. But if this stuff works like they're saying it's going to work, this is a game changer when it comes to field movement. Last thing we're going to talk about is I get a lot of calls lately on jock boxes. Who all in here has got jock boxes? Number one thing on jock boxes, it's a great idea. I like it if you got high play. If you got 200 plus games a year on your field, this is a lifesaver in boxes. The biggest thing I'm seeing right now with this is improper installation. There is a very precise depth you need to put these things. And it is very important that the base under these things are perfect because they will settle. These suckers are heavy. I don't know if anybody's ever picked one up, but I mean, these are really heavy. What we have found out, some guys I've talked out west, is they're putting pavers under them now. They're putting patio pavers under them once they hold them out. Almost like a concrete base for them to settle. So, I'm all for them. They're expensive, but they work. I know Tim will vouch for them. Joey's not in here at Carolina Fort. Joey's got one at first.
Yeah.
Yes, Joey's got one at first. I was a little skeptical on it because I was what the ball would do. You know, you get a rope, one hopper down there, and it actually one hops off that mat, what it was going to do. But I think they played all last year. You played over there. Do you have any problem with it?
None. And there's a new company, Richardson Athletics, sells those boxes, and it's instead of it being 6 inches thick like those that are heavy,
right.
It has corrugated plastic underneath with turf on top. That's what my new ones are, and 2 people can carry those. They're awesome.
Beacon, has anybody ever bought from Beacon? Beacon Athletics online. We do a lot of stuff with them. They've come out with 2 other versions as well. One is a mat, and one is almost like a foam. We're going to get some and demo. but right now the bread and butter are these. But you know, it's a great product. Fuels are evolving, and you know, again, guys, if you work on them, they're going to be good. But you're going to have to spend money on them. I mean, and I'm not saying that because I'm a contractor, but you know, it costs money to keep fields up. You know, but the biggest thing is lip removal and clay content. That's your two biggest things. You got that, you got a pretty good field. He's giving me the evil eye over here. But if anybody's got any questions on your field, we'll be in the booth. Hope everybody can come tonight. We've got a social afterwards, after Orlando speaks and we give out the door prizes. We're going to be right down this hall. We're going to have open bar until we can get Denny to go home. You know, we're going to have Orlando. Orlando's going to be around to talk. And if you got any questions, feel free. We'll be glad to come out and take a look. Scott Dooley standing in the back. He's my sales manager. Him or myself, we'll be glad to help anybody out. Good luck this season, guys.